Well, you know, there's two spots that you never want to be at when you're doing speaking engagements like this. One is 2:30, right after you've had a really large lunch and everyone's heads start to bob. And the other thing you don't want to do is follow someone who just had a standing ovation, right? And I have no good jokes. I'm not even I have nothing, right? So we'll see what we can do today. Now, with an amazing 2 opening talks that started, if you really look at what we have moving forward, we have 3 segments: sales, leadership, and management. So the summit has something for everybody, and it's fantastic. Now, today, in the next 45 minutes, I'd like to take a look at and share with you a passion that I have, which is how do we look at individuals who are ordinary Joes, ordinary Marys, people who are just a run-of-the-mill, and why do some choose to be extraordinary and others choose to maintain of just being ordinary? So what separates those individuals from being ordinary or extraordinary? What separates the difference? We have some individuals who will constantly climb, perseverance, guts, grit. No matter what they're doing and the level of success that they have, they keep climbing that mountain. And then there's others of us that we may find ourselves having that grit and that tenacity until we hit a certain level of success. And the second we hit that level of success, we camp. And our motivation to grow turns into a motivation to protect what we built. And then we have another group of individuals that will actually look at success and say, man, that's a hard, hard, hard mountain to climb. I'm going to hang out here for a little while and see what happens. And when other people become successful, they want the fruit of those labors. They just don't want to put the effort into it. And I'm sure you have friends or families or people that you know that when you look at them, they're still growing and they're still becoming better, but you have other individuals who have what it takes, but they choose not to capitalize on it. So what really makes the difference between success and those who choose not to have it? So we did a little investigating. We look at things like school, for instance. Well, that kind of makes a lot of logical sense, right? We all in this room want to send our children to the best schools possible. The better school they go to, the more successful they can become. As a matter of fact, some of us are also proud of badge of honor, and we actually throw the schools they go on to on our back bumpers. So we want to have them go to a good school. Good school, good success. You spend tens of thousands of dollars on sending them to private schools versus state schools. Maybe, and even at a high school level, you're sending your kid to private schools, not to the public school, because we want them to have a better edge. There may be even some of you in here, I know it happens in New York City all the time, spending tens of thousands of dollars to send your 4-year-old, right, to pre-K to make sure they got an edge. So is it schooling? Kind of makes sense. Then we take a look at grades. We got to have good grades. That's what makes us successful. If you get an A, it's better than a B. B people will always be better than C's. That's what we tell our kids. SATs, get good grades, better school, better level of success. It kind of makes sense then that we follow the bouncing ball and turn around and say, what about IQ? The more intelligent you are, the better possibility of being successful that you have. It has to be intelligence. So when we start peeling back the onion, let's take a look at some of the statistics that come back and say what does make success, because maybe it's luck. So what we found is some interesting stuff. The first is the labor of statistics will turn around and tell us that the school that you choose to go to, the reputation of the school has no bearing on your financial outcome. Now that's a shock to some of us who have 2 or 3 kids in school that we're trying to put them into the best school to have the best opportunities afterwards. Then all of a sudden, CNBC did a study that said entrepreneurials, that more entrepreneurials either didn't go to school or quit than those that graduated. And by the way, that's gender indifferent. And this is the one I think is even staggering than most, and that's the reason my kids are not watching this right now and streaming, because everything would be debunked that I told them, which is, it's true for me, but not for them, which is millionaires, self-made millionaires. More self-made millionaires are B students than A's. Look at it, 41% are B students. How the heck can we turn around and tell our kids, hey, go be a good C student? If you're a solid C student, you can be probably more successful on being a multimillionaire than if you're an A student. Wow, right? How can that possibly be true? So if it's not schooling, if it's not your education, what is it? So Carnegie will turn around and tell us that for financial success, 85% of your ability to be successful comes from your people skills, and only 15% comes from your technical knowledge. Yet where do we spend all our time and energy and money? On developing technical information. So if it's not that, what is success? If we don't have the capacity to say it's school or education or good grades, what makes success? If you've heard me speak in the past, you probably know that I love No Guts, No Gain, that program. The No Guts, No Gain program, we can easily go into the elements of success and the barriers of success. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, please write it down and go find your coach and say, what is he talking about No Guts, No Gain? It's the best, I think, one of the best things that Sandler has ever created. It's all about inside the skin. We could also take a look at success maybe through the lens of IR. We could take a look at it and say, well, what are the characteristics of at-leasters? What are the characteristics of winners? Why do at-leasters do what they do, and why do winners do what they do? We could do that too, that's for sure. But for today, I want to take a little different twist. We're going to take a look at these paths through the eyes of a PhD who's out in Stanford. Her name is Carol Dweck. Her mindset, as we live in Sandler, we say success is three-legged stool, right? Attitude, behavior, technique. You got to know the tactics and strategies to be successful, to dominate. You got to know that. You also have to have the behavior to be consistently in front of the right number of people you need to use your tactics and strategies. But we also have to know that our attitude drives our behavior. But Carol, we focus on three. Carol's mindset is, let's focus on one, which is attitude. So when we look at attitude, in her mind, there's two pieces, growth and fixed. And a growth mindset is exactly what it seems to say. A growth mindset person believes with effort, time, knowledge, and continuous effort, we all can be better. So a growth mindset person it's about growth. And I believe I can be better. I just got to pay the ferryman to do it. That's energy and effort. A fixed mindset individual believes exactly what the term says, that where they are is where they are. This is my lot in life. So if this is my lot in life, and this is where I'm going to be, does it really make sense to push harder to get outside of it? And they start to justify why it makes sense to stay where they are. So I want to bring you on a quick little journey on using those two different mindsets, using those two different brain pieces, because I work with entrepreneurs, and I just love part of my practice, which is the coaching of taking in individuals who are starting off a new business and going from to the first million or second or third million. So much awesome growth is done at that point. If any of you are in a multi-million-dollar business, you know that first couple million, whoo, a lot of growth. Whole bunch of different growth happens to 8 to 10 million. Different stuff needs to be put in place to your 15 to 20 and so on. But when I take a look at these individuals, I found that by no means is this all inclusive, but I found some patterns of consistency. And what I want to do is share them with you. And as I start to share them with you, you may want to take stock in your own world and say, all right, how do I fit in that world? How do I actually view the world through these mindsets? So the first one I want to share with you is going to be vision. Now, I don't think anyone in this room is going to discount the fact that vision is massively important. We got to have vision. But you realize, and here's some statistics if you want to get blown away, 80% of the people actually get up, go to work, come home, eat, play with the kids, repeat. 80% of the people walking planet Earth have no goals. They have no desire to get better than what they're doing. 16% of the population have a concept of what they want, an idea of goals. Yet less than 4% actually have them written down. And less than 1% actually look at it, review it, and stay tracked on it. Less than 1%. So are you part of the 80 or the 16 that hope? Or are you more like the 1 that does? And by the way, statistically, here's another scary number. The people at 16% that have a concept of what they want in life, and you took a look at the person that's the 1% club, that has it written, has a plan, and they review it, do you realize the 1% club out-earns the 16% club by 9 times? That's a staggering number. Their earnings, their lifetime earnings, are 9 times greater than the 16% club. So I don't think anyone's going to discount the importance of really having a strong vision. Now, you've heard two phenomenal speakers before, right? Unbelievable people come up with great content. But when we look at this thing, this crazy piece of vision, vision really is your why and your what. And I have found that most of the successful people I have, they have absolutely insane clarity on 2 or 3 driving forces. Now, most of us in this room would turn around and say, hey, we need to have the capacity to have a plan. What's the activities? We know cookbooking, right? What's our sequential steps? What's the process? What are our behaviors? Who has to do what, when, how, and when? That's easy. That's tracking it. But not all super successful people have plans that they track. Some have a belly button. So when we took a look at this clarity that they had to have, it's intense. And they live by a simple rule that you may want to write down in your notes. It's up to you. Their belief is this: I am willing to do whatever it takes to achieve that objective. On your notes, it's called commitment. I am willing to do whatever it takes. Legally, morally, and ethically, of course. Right? Just because I'm in New York, don't think I forget those 3 things. So, right, do everything and anything you can to make sure that you're going to get to the end result. And people with great vision, they have the capacity to be better decision makers. And I call it Wimp Junction. Wimp Junction is, you probably have 100 to 200 of these every day. Wimp Junction is when you have the capacity and you have a choice that where you are right now, I can either choose to stay on the path that I'm supposed to, may not be easy, but I'm going to stay the path that I'm supposed to, that's my plan. Or I can choose to wimp out and go a little safer. I can go to the opposite side and protect and not do what I'm supposed to do. And that decision right there is called Wimp Junction. That decision is actually what separates many of us from being good from great. And what helps us with that decision is how strong you believe in your vision. So decision making is definitely impacted by your vision. Now, when we take a look at this vision, a fixed mindset individual has the capacity to judge how they're doing against other individuals. That's when we, in our world, we call it at-leasters. I'm not doing that bad, but at least I'm not as bad as them. When Mike got up, remember what he said? He was the king of the middle of the pack. So yeah, I could run a little faster, but I still got my medal. Hey, I could make a little more money, but I'm doing better than my friends. So when we take a look at your vision, do you have something that's absolutely driving you? Remember the rules. Inconsistent behavior means lack of absolute vision. Inconsistency of behavior is because you don't buy into your vision. You got to remember the rules. There's always a plan in play. And if you don't, it's one of my favorite rules. I have all my clients write it down. It's in all their offices. There's always a plan in play. There's always a plan in play. Whoever has the stronger plan will always win. Period. If you do not have a plan, by default, you will naturally become part of someone else's. There is always a plan in play. You have to constantly ask yourself, whose plan am I working? Am I working my plan, or am I working my employee's plan? Am I working my plan, or am I working my staff's plan? Am I working my plan, or am I actually working the prospect's plan? So when we take a look at our capacity to have this passion to get there, a person who has a fixed mindset, they may have the capacity to have guts, right? Their back's against the wall. They know they need to do something. They're in that fixed area. They have to get to activity. They know they're supposed to beforehand, but they chose not to. Then boom, they have guts. So in your mind, if your notes, if you want to, guts equals a fixed mindset, and only guts. A growth mindset individual, sure they got guts, but their belief system is called discipline. So you got to remember another rule. Do a little bit all the time, not a lot some of the time. Don't make success overly complicated. It's the whole premise of the cookbook. You got to break it down to daily behaviors. Do a little bit all the time, not a lot some of the time. So my question to you is, how are you with vision? How are you with having that passion inside your head, heart, and gut that drives you to consistently do the things you're supposed to do, regardless if you feel like you want to do it? How's your vision? So take a second, take stock, and actually ask yourself, do you keep climbing? Do you keep pushing? Or for your vision is just enough to get to where you want to be, and once you hit a certain level of plateau, your passion stops. So how are you with vision? The other one I want to share with you, so you have this vision, Now we got effort. So the other mindset that I find really separates the good from the great is their effort and their desire to actually perform. So when we take a look at effort, and if you have a vision of this is what I want to accomplish. Here's my vision, Glenn, or here's my vision. I don't care which one you got, but you have to realize if you have this vision versus this vision, that's a difference. There's a lot more effort that has to be put into this. Because if that wasn't the case, everyone would put in this much effort to get that kind of growth. So effort is long-term and short-term. We have this thing called tenacity. Do you hear what Chris talked about? How long it took him to become excellent at what he does? Because he had passion for what he was trying to accomplish, where that wall was. And my effort says, I am here and I got to get there. It's not just going to take effort to get here to get those results. I got to have long-term tenacity, guts, fortitude. Now, there's a program, I don't even know if they even have it anymore. It's called the Need to Excel. And it used to be part of a Dream Book program that we did. And inside there was four, if you want to put them down, individual letters. It's called IPDE. IPDE. Identify, predict, decide, and execute. IPDE. And what it meant was this. Identify what you want. Identify what you're going to have the burning passion for. Identify what you're going to run through a wall for. That's not a hope. It's what are you going to willing to fight for? Again, you got to go back to that core decision. Are you willing to do whatever it takes to get there? If not, punt. Figure out something else. If you're not executing your plan, that means you don't believe in your plan. Don't make it overcomplicated. So when we're looking at these individuals, IPDEs, you got to identify what you want. The P stands for predict, which is your plan. What do you need to know? What do you need to own? What's the behavior you have to do? What's the mindset you have to do? What's the consistency? It's called a cookbook. Do y'all live in your cookbook? Do y'all working hard on getting a cookbook? Yes, no? Don't know what I'm talking about with a cookbook? Okay. Whew. That's like just jumping into the car saying, hey, let's go north. Where do you want to go? Who the hell knows? We'll get there when we get there. That's not very good success, right? So if you know you want to get there and you're here, what is my cookbook to get me there? That's the planning piece. Now, I personally believe the next part is the most important piece of success. It's the decision. Once you understand what you want, now you understand what the plan is to get there, you have to sit back and take honest stock and say, am I going to do this? Am I going to give it everything I got? Am I 100% behind this? That's a decision you have to make before you start, not after you start. You don't start something and say halfway into it, wow, this kind of stinks, I don't want to do this anymore. You got to pre-plan, you got to think ahead and say, am I going to give everything I got to this? And if the answer is yes, now it's time for execution. There's a reason when you look in your mirror when you're driving, your rearview mirror is a third of the size visually is your front. Because once you make the decision, boom, keep moving. Don't look behind you. Don't have doubt. Move forward. And by the way, there's no excuses. Excuses are because you're not committed. If you want to write it down, you should have the little bullets. Ready? No excuses. Excuses are because outcomes of people are not committed. Now, one of the things with IPDE is interesting. Fixed mindset, people would turn around and say they're not as brave as people who have a growth mindset. It has nothing to do with bravery. See, a growth mindset individual will say, from an effort standpoint, because by the way, they're effort junkies, right? A growth mindset individual, their whole premise is more effort, more energy, give it a shot, doesn't work out, make it better, try it again, make it better, now we're successful. And you have a fixed mindset person says, yeah, but that may be embarrassing. I'm not even sure it's going to work, so why try? So when we look at these individuals, the growth mindset individual is not braver than a fixed mindset. They're not. But they have a unique difference. See, fear immobilizes people, for the most part. So if you have fear about doing something, it immobilizes you. The only way to break immobilization is action. Again, something you may want to write down in your notes, because I'm sure pretty much every single one of us in this room at some point gets stuck. Action breaks paralysis. Always has, always will. So when action breaks paralysis, a growth mindset person isn't braver. They just know if I don't do something, I'm stuck. So I'm going to take action. Not that they're braver. So they blow through those things because of the fact that I don't want to get stuck. So we're taking a look at effort, and it's shocking to me, not shocking, I guess, but, did this talk a little while ago, not this talk we're doing right now, and do you realize when we go to the gym, if any of you work out or go to the gym or do any exercise, your body has the best growth when you actually lift or work out to failure. Not work out till you get a little sweat, not work out till it hurts a little bit. That's just getting to first base. You get your greatest growth when you fail. Your muscles rip apart, and they grow, and that's how you get strength. You realize the same thing happens when you put a lot of effort in inside your brain, inside your heart. All your neurons are popping. They're going crazy. And as those neurons are popping like that and going crazy, what happens? You grow. So from where you sit, are you the kind of person that takes the stairs, or are you the kind of person that takes the escalator? See, the person who takes the stairs, they feel the burn. They feel like they're alive. They feel the muscles working as they run up the stairs. So when you take a look at your notes, are you someone who's putting in enough effort? Are you someone who's actually pushing yourself? Do you look to have that feeling inside yourself when you worked a really hard day on the right stuff? Or are you actually saying to yourself, yeah, I did enough today? Enough is awful. What you should be doing is what you're supposed to do. So never judge yourself against other individuals. Judge yourself against what you're supposed to do in yourself. So take a second and ask yourself, are you putting in enough effort in your world to get to where you need to be? Because individuals that have the mindset of a winner, they understand they have to pay the ferryman. And it's not just a one single hit. Some of these individuals now that are younger, they work at a job for literally 30, 60, 90 days and like, this is hard, I'm out. Really? Is that how it works? So are you putting enough time and energy in? Or have you kind of climbed to a plateau that now you're in a comfort zone mentally? Maybe you're making good money, and you know that if I put in more effort, I could make more, I could be more successful. But now you're saying to yourself, but why? Is it really worth it? So now what's happening is you're changing your motivation to grow to protect the campground that you built. Nice house, nice cars, nice boat, nice vacations. Why screw this up? But you can still climb. So are you camping, or are you pushing yourself to have the right number of effort, the right amount of effort to grow? So take stock. How's your effort? So another one that seems to pop up all the time, it's huge, is how do we handle challenges? How do we handle, risk? That one, next one's challenges, apparently. So when we have risk, so interesting things about risk. If you don't know some definitions about risk, I'll just plop this up there so it's here, is on your notes. Someone asked me before, when do I risk? It's a very easy question. You risk when you're unhappy. Plain and simple. Next question is, what's risking? Risking by definition is letting go of what you know to be true. Letting go of what you know probably already works. Now what it may give you is mediocrity, but it still works. So risking is letting go of what you know to go towards something of greater value. To go towards something of greater value. If you just let go, that's sacrificing. So risking is inherently important. But there's two things about risking that we got to deal with. The inherent outcome of risk. The inherent outcome of risk means this. You can either take a risk and achieve what you wanted or gain a lesson. You can also take a look at, from a risk standpoint, maybe a different way you look at it is, I won. I succeeded. I did it. Or, because if you look at it as I won, what's the flip side of winning? It's the opposite of winning. Losing. So when we take risks, how many of us in this room may not be good risk takers because we fear failure? It's actually one of the things that holds us back more than anything else in our risk taking. So your perception of failure is huge. Now, growth mindset individuals, they're not afraid of failure. Think about it for a second. Growth mindset individuals say, I want this. Because I want this, I have to get good at this. Well, to get good at it, I got to try. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a shot. And they try it. And it doesn't work out. They don't say, oh, woe is me. That was embarrassing. They do is they turn around and say, what could I have done better? Try it again. Got it. Any better? Nope. Try this one. Got it. Any better? It's called risk-taking. It's called role-playing sometimes. But your fixed mindset individual will look at it and go, yeah, but if I do that, it may not come out right. I may not win. Yeah, that may be true, but then you're going to get a lesson. Yeah, I know, but it's going to feel it's not right. So all of a sudden, their fear is they're going to look not like what their outcome was in terms of success. So the fear of failure actually impacts their ability to be a very, very strong risk taker. So you got to get better. And you got to look at some different lenses that you have. You got to have the capacity to look at some different things that you want to do in terms of your risk taking. You know, these two things have popped up, and you may want to write them down, and it's interesting. Fixed mindset individuals, if they try something, make a cold call. Maybe they try to do an upfront contract. Maybe they're negotiating. Maybe it's something, whatever. They give it a shot. A fixed mindset person will say, I am a failure because I couldn't do that. I'm a failure because I couldn't be successful at the phone call. I'm a failure because I didn't figure this thing out in role plays. I'm a failure because. Yet a growth mindset individual will say something very different. They will say, I failed at. I'd love for you to write those words down because it is a massive difference in perception. Do you believe you're a failure because I am a failure because ... Or do you believe I failed at? Did you fail at an activity that's not a pronoun? Another way of looking at it is it's a pronoun problem. So you got to look at how you look at failure and risk-taking. You know, I'm 6'5", and when I have my little ones, and I'm sure you all have the same thing with your little ones, trying to teach them how to ride a bicycle. Now, when you're 5'5", it's a hell of a lot easier to run and hold a bicycle way down here. So have you ever seen like a giraffe that's been like wounded, right? It ain't pretty. So you're running like this, doing the best you can. And as I'm running, I'm holding the back of my son's seat, just like all of you do. And you're whispering in his ear, you're doing great, believe, pedal, straight, pedal, doing great, go, go. You're the man. And you run with him. And he's like, yeah! It's all giddy. Then horror happens, right? You start to slowly let go of the seat, but you're running with him so he doesn't know. Now, again, it could be easy for you, but try it in the hotel room on your own tonight. Squat down where your butt's about 3 inches off the ground for you, and then try to run the length of the room, right? I'm telling you, it wasn't easy. So all of a sudden, you let go and I start to slow down, not because I didn't have the desire, just I'm not running that far. And as it starts to happen, same thing happened to my son, happened to yours, which is what? What happens? The second they know you're not behind them anymore, bam! Right? You can see it happening. They're looking this way, they're looking that way, and they go, where are you? Next thing you know, the wheel's doing this, then bam! And you clap. Look how far you came. Oh, that was great. And they're sitting on the curb crying. What the hell's wrong with you, Dad? Couldn't we done this on the front lawn, right? So you learn that after your second child, apparently. So when he gets up and I convince him, it's okay, buddy, you can do this. Listen, you're going to fall down, but every time you fall down, you can learn how to get back on the bike and ride straight again. Don't we convince our kids to get back on the bike? Right? Yes. And then they get back on the bike and they ride, and they finally can actually ride on their own. And they feel independent. They feel like a big boy and a big girl. It's phenomenal. Then you go to work the next day, and you take a risk, and it doesn't work out. And what do? You sit on the curb like they did, and you suck your thumb and cry. What the hell happened? So when you're riding your bike at work and you fall off, are you wimping out? Or are you getting back on the bike again? Are you following your own direction? How are you at taking risks? Are you letting go to something greater, or are you protecting what you got? How are you at risk-taking? Next one, which you already know apparently, right? challenges. Challenges. This is monstrous. This is 100% perception. I'm at a program, and during the course of the program, we just talked about cookbooking. They were doing it for recruiting. And as we're going through it, one of the managers turned around and said, I don't know why we're doing this. They don't even give us our numbers until middle of the year. Person next to him says, well, yeah, but we still have to recruit because we still need to make money. And then the person responds back, says, yeah, but you know what? They always do it right around the second or third quarter. They're going to tell us what our new comp plan is, and it's going to mess everything up. So why are we even doing this? And the person next to him says, well, maybe, but they're trying to get the comp plan right so that we can make more money the right way. And they're getting better every time they do it. So we can't wait for that. We still have to run our businesses. And the person next to him throws the paper on the table, just the round table's like, this is dumb. So when you get stuck with challenges, when you hear roadblocks in your world, how do you deal with it? Do you actually embrace it, or do you avoid it? How are you with roadblocks? When something happens, do you do this? Say, oh my God, why does it always happen to us? Are you insane? This is like the 5th time. Do you start to bitch and moan a little bit? Or do you sit back and say, and by the way, I'm not talking about a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. A growth mindset's not saying to themselves, ooh, we got a roadblock, high five, high five. That's not happening. But they don't run from it. So when something hits the wall, they turn around and say, okay, they take a deep breath, they figure it out, and they get to work. So here's a couple of one-liners you may want to write down for your notes if it makes sense. Challenges. When we took a look at challenges, they absolutely test our conviction. They test your conviction to your objectives. Every time you hit a roadblock, it's a challenge. It's actually testing you on how much you're from a conviction standpoint to your end goal. The second thing it tests is your commitment to your behavior. So when you hit a roadblock, maybe you thought you were going to get the deal. I just had it this morning. Glenn, this is not good. What happened? Oh, the big deal I thought was going to happen didn't come in. I'm like, all right, so it didn't come in. He goes, no, you don't understand. This is what it's going to mean. This is this. And we spent literally 30 minutes him going around and around and around about all the stuff. And I said, can I ask you a question? I said, yeah. I said, so what are you going to do about it? It already happened. So spending more time complaining about it, take that same amount of energy and effort and put it towards effort. Effort to move it forward and fix it. Huge change would happen. You know, like some of us in this room, I'm obviously a Sandler trainer, and when we first got started off, I worked for another franchise. And one of the things that we had to do when we first got started is something called executive briefings. So I fill the room, and then we speak in front of it, and you get some prospects. It's an easy process. Now, I'm living in Queens, just got married. My grandfather, who passed away, I got his car. And just married, couldn't have 2 nickels to rub together. Now, this car had a very unique ability. Besides being free, which was great, the unique ability was that any time that it hit water or hit anything that had to do with condensation in the air, it would turn off. It was great, right? Completely unpredictable. So I'm out there on my suit, got in the car, nothing, panicking, sprint into the apartment, put on my play clothes, go back out to the car and try to figure out if I can make it work. So this is a long time ago. Some of you, probably weren't even born at the time, but you have cell phones now. Back then we didn't. So I call Mark, who, by the way, lives 1 mile from the building that I'm going to be doing this talk at. And Mark's going to be in the room because he's my mentor. I said, Mark, you got to go do the talk for me. I'm not going to make it. And I'm sitting there spewing out on what happened. I got up early, and this was going on with my car. How am I going to do this? This is the end of the world. I worked so hard to fill up the room. And all he said to me was, why are you calling me? Why didn't you call a taxi? Click. Really? That's your help, right? And by the way, it was the best darn thing he'd ever said to me. What the hell are you calling me for? Call a taxi. Click. You know what he taught me? Good, you got challenges. Now fix it and let's get going. So when you have challenges, are you shying away from them, or are you actually looking forward to it? You got to wrap your head around it. Navy SEALs has an easy one-liner. Your body will follow anything that your head can wrap around. Your head can't wrap around it, your body ain't following. Wrap your head around it, your body will follow. How you perceive challenges is a massive difference in your ability to be successful. Next one I want to share with you is open to experiences. Now, open to experiences is for some of us, we sit there and say, hey, I am really good. I am awesome at what I do. Why would I need to learn anything else? But open mindset individual says, if there's a better way, why wouldn't I want to learn it? Fixed mindset says, what I'm doing right now is working, so why mess with it? So at a two-day boot camp that we did, and I work a lot in the financial field, I have three, it's a bunch of people. I have three people over here when I do lessons learned, and it was great. Diana turned around and said, and by the way, Diana was in the business for 2 years. She is the rookie of the year for her company. She's doing great business. And she turns around and said to Joe, who, by the way, was the #1 person in his agency of 300 people, she said, I am impressed that Joe, actually every time that you asked for someone to give homework or to actually share what they did for critiquing and to take a look at it, Joe always raised his hand. And I never did because I was embarrassed. I'm embarrassed that I would say something stupid and foolish. And here he is. He's pushing himself constantly. And Joe started to laugh and goes, that's the one that I'm impressed with. Now, Scott was in the back corner. Scott is the #1 producer of the entire company, which is about 7,000 people. Scott pays more in taxes than everyone else in the room combined earns. Okay. Scott turned around, and what Joe said was, that guy, every time you asked for someone to role play, he got up instantaneously and said, I'll do it. And then Joe made a joke. He goes, this is my 3rd boot camp. He said, I'm still trying to figure this stuff out. He got up, and every time, and by the way, no disrespect, Scott, you weren't that good. And he starts laughing. He goes, well, how am I supposed to get good unless I try? How am I supposed to get good unless I'm opening up for new stuff? So you're talking about the #1 person who sells in 8,000 individuals in this company, and he's trying to figure out how to make it better. He's not sitting there touting how great he is and everyone should follow him. It's the other way around. So how are you for opening to new experiences? Another one I want to share with you is why not? I think this is an awesome, awesome mindset. Why not? You can hear it in what people say. You can actually hear people say, well, why not me? And real quick, what happens with why not, there we go. What happens with why not is it's an open architect. See, people with growth mindset, there's no boundaries. Fixed mindset, there's boundaries. It's like going into your backyard and you have fences around your fence post, right? This is where I live, this is my lot of land. Open mindset, there's no boundaries. When you have no boundaries, it's very empowering, very liberating. So you ought to start to say to yourself, why not me? Why can't I have that car? Why can't I have that house? Why can't I have that lifestyle? Why can't I have no anxiety in my head? Why can't I actually live in the moment? Why not me? See, growth mindset individuals understand it's going to take time, energy, and effort to get there, but why not me? And how many of us in this room put ceilings on ourselves, put chains around our ankles and say, yeah, but until I do this, I can get there? Those are our boundaries. You know, most of us in this room, you have age as a boundary, your dialect, how you dress, your intelligence. How many of us in this room say, you know what, I'll make more money once I hit 30. I'll be able to call a CEO once I know these skills. So what's holding you back? Why aren't we living in the world of why not? Many of us justify why we are where we are. I had one kid turn around and said, yeah, listen, I'm doing great. He's 33 years old. I'm making more money than all my friends. And I didn't want to say it to him at the point, but I really want to say is you got to get new friends. Right? You can't hang around people. Yeah, no. Got to get new friends. So when we look at the world of why not, are you protecting what you built? Or are you actually looking at a level playing field saying, why can't I build an empire? Why can't I have balance in my life? Why can't I have happiness? Why not me? Doesn't mean the person next to you has anything special, but why not as a mindset? I have individuals that want to grow by 20%. Boom, we get them to 20% growth. Then they will literally come in and say, you know, I'm thinking why not take off Fridays? I said, okay. Making the same amount or you want to make more? Make more, identify, right? Plan, decide, execute. Put the plan together. You're going to do all this stuff? Yep, take every Friday off. Done. That was 3 years ago. Took Fridays off. Then Alan comes in and says, you know, those Fridays were pretty cool. Maybe I'm thinking about taking 2 or 3 weeks off in July for the summertime. I said, done. You want it? Yep. You're going to fight for it? Yep. You're going to work hard for it? Yep. Let's put the plan together. Put the plan together. Going to do it? Yep. Does it. So now Alan still grows by 10% every year, but he takes off every Friday. He's gone July and August. And right now, this year, we're trying to figure out how he can take the last 2 weeks of the month off and still make money, and lots of it. He believes in the world of why not. Now, the problem with Alan is he actually went on a safari, and when he's on the safari, he's calling me because he feels guilty he's not working, right? But there's a whole different set of circumstances. So are you living in the world of you have a ceiling? Listen, the whole thing about why not is there's none of this. There's no walls. Your mind creates it. You're the one that puts boundaries up. You're the one that puts boundaries up on your age, on how much you know, where you can go, who you can call on, what your average size deals are. That's all in your head. Live in the world of why not. It's a big difference. Next one I want to share with you. These are tough because I'm never allowed to go over, so I got to get cooking here. So we have mediocrity. That word in itself, mediocrity, either gets you saying, wow, that's awful, or it's going to turn around and say, yeah, it's not that bad. So how do you feel against mediocrity? Is it something that drives you to be better? You know, it was interesting. My father, I used to play lacrosse and football, and again, we had nothing. So my dad would pick me up after school and drive me home, and we'd have conversations. And one of the conversations that we had, and it got drilled into my head, there's a massive difference between being beaten and losing. And it's a sports metaphor, but it's pretty true across the board. So my definition, losing is you play the game, you hustle, you play hard, you do what you're supposed to do, you leave everything on the field. There is no shoulda, coulda, woulda. You leave that field, I had nothing else. I gave it everything I got. And if they're better, they're better. That's still admirable. You gave it everything. Losing isn't bad. Being beaten is unacceptable. Being beaten is you had skill, but they beat your hustle. They beat you down with commitment. They beat you down because they had more courage. They beat you. So when you're on a sales call, are you giving it everything you got? When you're actually sitting in your office, are you giving your staff and your business everything you got? Or you're just giving it a little bit? Losing is always admirable. Being beaten is embarrassing because it wasn't the team that beat you, it was you. Because you're not following a simple rule about mediocrity. Here's the rule, if you want to write it down, it's up to you. Be your best. It's a simple, of one of the 2 or 3 visions that you should be up on that board, one of them should be perform at my best. Perform at my best. Are you performing at your best? You get one shot at this. We get one lap. That's all we get. One time around the lap. You get no rewinds, you get no pauses, you get no redos. So when you're going around this lap of life, you got to perform at your best. You have to. Don't accept mediocrity. Don't put the ceilings on yourself. Next one I want to share with you is criticism. Now, some people turn around and say criticism is a bad thing. Criticism for a growth mindset is fantastic. Because if I do this and it's not the way I'm supposed to do it, tell me what I did wrong. You tell me what I did wrong, I'm going to try it again. That's how they grow. That's their mindset. Fixed mindset is if you tell me what I can do better, they take it personal. So how has role performance improvement become an identity problem? Big, big difference with criticism. So are you open to new ideas? Do you take suggestions from other people? I've heard it outside just a couple minutes ago getting coffee. Someone said, hey, I heard the other day, blah, 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 blah. They said a suggestion to him, and I don't want to say it because there's too many people around that heard it. And then the person next to him said, yeah, but you don't even sell much, so what value do you have? So do we discount information from other people because of who they are and the value that they have? There's great information in everything. Be open to it. Last one I want to share with you is separation. There's 2 pieces of separation. This is going to be really short because I'm already at my time. There's 2 pieces of separation I really want to share with you. One is growth mindset has the capacity to separate noise. They have the ability to smoke through noise. What I mean by noise is everyone has the capacity to have what they want in terms of their own personal actions and aptitudes done. So when you're the president, you're running the business, there's a lot of noise coming at you, a lot of emails coming at you, a lot of information coming at you. Separation is how do you smoke through all the smoke and mirrors to get to the core. David talked about golf this morning, right? I have a unique ability. You can put this in the middle of a fairway. It's not funny, I'm telling you, I can do this all the time. I can put it right in it. I'm not a good golfer. I have a unique ability to put every ball in the water. Now, I do. And you know, David makes a joke about the range balls, but that's what I play with, right? Because I give more balls to the tree gods than anything else in the world. So if I hit a ball, it goes into the water. The ball hits the water, it creates ripples. Stop chasing ripples. Identify the cause and fix it. That's separation. No, you know what I'm talking about? Ball hit the ripples? We spend time, energy, and money trying to fix ripples. Cut it out. Identify the cause, fix it. The other thing about separation I've noticed that I want to share with you is balance. Then I'll be done. Balance means this. When you're at home, be at home. When you're at work, be at work. But never, ever, ever be sitting there having a conversation with your spouse, playing with your kids, being at a function with your kids, and thinking about anything but where you are. That's a choice that you have. Your mind has to be where your feet are. Write it down. Your mind must be where your feet are. You cannot think of the past. You can't think of the future. I'm sure you've heard the story before. We had this very rich entrepreneur who decided to go walk the earth for a year, right? Can't call him a bum because he had a ton of money, but wanted to walk the earth. Now, he went to a monastery, or the story is where monks are, and he walked in, and he was there for 4.5 months. He turned around being the new person. There's no really big technology there, so everyone eats at the same time, which, by the way, is about this many people. So his job for the first month was a dishwasher. Now, I'm not talking about taking the dishes and putting in a dishwasher and pushing a button. I mean actually washing the dishes. So his first day there, imagine, long line, big dish, right? All the dishes are coming. We're talking 1,500 people. Dish, 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 dish is coming down. It's piling up. And you can see the panic in his eyes. And his mentor said, this is easy. Take the plate, just wash it. He's like, what? He said, well, we're going to be here all day. Just take the plate and wash it. He washed the plate. He gave it to the person next to him who dried it. His mentor gave him another plate and said, now wash this one. Now wash this one. Now wash this one. Don't worry about over here and don't worry about over there. You got to be where your feet are. Worry about what you're doing right now and be present. And if you can be present, that means you have energy to be where you are. You can control where your mind goes. You can control thinking about the future. When it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you're thinking about stuff at work, you're controlling your brain. It's called the wolf story. Look it up. It's great. So when you have the next capacity to walk around in the summit for the next few days, remember what you've been doing in terms of learned. Have the capacity, a thirst to be better, the absolute thirst to grow. No matter where you are, can you getting better? Are you growing outside your comfort zone? I love that statistic, 97 and 3%. It's great numbers about being outside your comfort zone. But do you have a thirst to grow? Do you have a thirst to learn? Do you have a thirst to be better than how you are? So take a look at what you need to enhance in what you're currently doing right now. What do you have to eliminate in things that are occurring up here? And what do you need to add in your head, your heart, and your head, and your gut to be as successful as you can possibly be? So in your journey for the next couple of days in the summit, I say best of luck. Take the things that we've talked about and realize success is by design. It is not by luck. You choose to be successful just as much as you choose not to be. So enjoy your path. Thank you.